Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. It is January 20th, 9:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another late start for us. Normally, we record on Tuesdays. We are going to drop this literally right after we record. Been a busy week. As always, the Sports Card Advantage official co-pilot is Bunk. What's going on, Bunk?
Co-pilot, I like that.
Co-pilot? Do you want to be Goose or do you want to be Maverick? Well, Goose dies, so maybe
Goose doesn't make it, dude. I mean, that's the age-old answer. No one wants to be Goose.
I guess Iceman or Maverick.
I tell you what, though, looking at your background there, I gotta get me a nice Top Gun movie pick.
Yeah, dude. New background for the 15 of you that watch us on YouTube every week. Got some movie posters in the background.
That Tyson one is awesome.
Yeah, shout outs to whoever I bought this from at the Raleigh card show. It is, for those of you who aren't watching, it is a screenshot of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, original Nintendo Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, autographed by Mike Tyson himself. So got a decent deal on it, and decided to hang it up on the wall.
Who authenticated it, guy?
There is an authentication sticker on it. I just don't want to turn around and look at it right now. But
all right.
If inquiring minds want to know, let me know.
Well, guy, all I read on Twitter is fraud everywhere at card shows. So
yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Sports Card Advantage business, as always. If you have questions you want answered on the show or in general, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Follow us on social media, Sports Card ADVTG, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We have a ton of stuff to go over today. Lots more hobby news. We talked about hobby drama last week. Unfortunately, we got more to talk about this week. So first off, not going to spend too much time on this because it's a bit of a murky situation, but there's just a lesson to be learned. We'll talk. I know it's been covered to death on social media already. We're getting a late jump. But we'll talk real quick about Dallas, the Dallas Card Show. For those of you that don't know what happened, allegedly there was somebody that was selling fake Jordan slabs and a fake Brady slab. They were escorted out of the trade night. They were literally like hog-tied on the ground while people you could hear in the recording yelling, "Kill yourselves, you're destroying the hobby." And then supposedly the Jordans weren't fake, and then they were fake, and then they weren't fake. And there's 17 different stories going around right now as far as whether or not the guys that did it were guys that were from previous shows that were selling fake cards. And I think is that where we are now?
Yeah,
That's the consensus.
I saw one dude post a pic of the two guys, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, back in November they scammed me."
Yeah.
So I guess he was alleging like he didn't have names or photos or any evidence, but then once he saw the Dallas card show stuff, he's like, "Oh, those are it. Those are them."
Yeah. So
it sounds like they were doing it multiple times over.
Yeah, that's the story right now. That that these guys, that there were scammers. But the bottom line here is what we've always said: do your homework. So if somebody's trying to sell you an expensive slab, that it's worth your time, don't trust them to be at face value. Look up the number that's on the slab and make sure that it's real before you purchase. And that's the bottom line here. And also, just a general thing about society is don't be a dick. Like, there was literally people that were screaming like, "Kill yourselves," and like whatever. I mean, yes, nobody wants to get scammed, but at the end of the day, don't jump on the freaking mob bandwagon until you know the full story, because there was there's still people that were there that was saying that it was a mistake. So nobody's 100% sure what actually happened, but don't jump to conclusions until it's time to jump to the conclusions.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned do your homework, but if you're specifically in the market for that Jordan card, I mean, you definitely got to look up and look at the known signs of a faked card of those. You can't. I would never go buy even if I was in the market for one. I would never go buy one without doing extensive homework on what are the signs that it's a fake versus real.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and that is scams are on the rise. We've talked about the store break-ins, and we've talked about the break scams, and we've talked now. Here's fake slab scams. They're everywhere. People are trying to get away with anything that they possibly can and get over on people. It is rampant across everybody that's throwing around money because people get too excited. They get the FOMO in them and they just hand over money blindly. It's happening like crazy in the NFT space. It's happening like crazy in the crypto space. And sports cards ain't no different. So do your homework, take a step back, analyze the situation before you just go throw money at somebody. A news story that broke literally today involves Card Collector 2, gentleman by the name of Ryan. If you're not familiar, he puts out some of the best sports card content around. He has a local card shop in Columbus, Ohio, pretty well known throughout the hobby. And another company called Mark's Cards. The scenario is here, I believe. This happened about 18 months ago that it started, where before Ryan had direct relationships with PSA, he was submitting his group subs to Marks because Marks was located right near the PSA offices. They did drops in person, door to door for that service. And I believe there was about $120,000 in grading fees that was never turned over to PSA or never paid to PSA. Is that the story?
Yeah, supposedly, Marx was using the money to fund up some other things. So, I mean, obviously, he was paying the bill for a while because there's a heck of a lot of cards. And I know people that have already gotten their cards back through this process. The sub to CC2, and then it went off to Marks, and then they just recently got their cards back. So, some of the bills were getting paid here,
Yeah,
but at some point they stopped.
yeah.
And
So
110, 120,000 in grading fees, that could be a lot of cards.
yeah, absolutely. And this the good news here is Ryan is probably one of the most stand up dudes in the hobby. His reputation is absolutely pristine as far as doing right by customers, doing right by fans, doing right by kids. In the hobby, like he is just a stand-up guy, and the story goes he literally flew out to PSA and sat down and talked with them, pulled 120K out of his own pocket, and made sure that his customers were taken care of, and that they were going to get their cards back.
Yeah, I mean, another dude I know just today got a message back from them saying, despite everything you've seen, your cards are fine. You will get them.
Yep. And so it's just another black eye. Unfortunately, there's greed everywhere, and once you start to add up money, it just is what it is. Expect this type of behavior to continue, and from that standpoint, once again, work with people who have good reputations. If you're looking at group subs, you know, Ryan from Collector 2 now has a direct relationship. Nash Cards down in Nashville has a direct relationship. We have used Nash before. We had no problems. Nash has a also pristine relationship, a reputation in the hobby. Otherwise, just submit it direct. That is what we like. Our first submission was a group submission. It was like, yeah, we'll send it to Nash. We'll see what happens. Took us an extra 2 weeks. It's not like it's a bad thing, but you're not saving that much money. You're not really saving that much effort. Just do it yourself. Nash's cards don't get graded any faster than yours.
Yeah, and some of those services they offer for a couple extra bucks. They offer to help review slash clean slash whatever your card. So if you're
Yeah.
brand new and you're not sure what you're doing, uh, that's sometimes a nice option for the first couple because they'll say, "Oh, hey, you sent us 10, but we're kicking these two out because of X, Y, and Z," and you learn a little bit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's a straight up submission, then just submit it yourself if you can. If they do offer a service, I think Nash is like $3 a card, maybe $5 a card, where they'll assess it and say this isn't worth grading and send it back, or they'll clean it and send it. If you feel that that's worth it, 100% do it. Otherwise, just learn how to analyze some of this stuff yourself so that you don't have a middleman. You're sending it to PSA, SGC, BGS, wherever you're sending it yourself, and you get it back, and you don't have to worry about whether or not somebody's going to run off with your cards.
BGS is open?
Yes, BGS is
Oh,
open.
who knew?
We talked about that offline. BGS is open, and what did we say? I think it's $160 now.
Yeah, did you see that? I hadn't found that. The last I saw it was still 250. It's definitely down.
Yeah, it's 100. You have to submit. I think it's a minimum of 5 cards, and it's $160 a card.
Did they advertise that?
I'm not sure. I think if you look on their website, that's what's there. Oh no. We saw this with a group sub.
This was a group sub with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was
Yeah.
If you did it through someone else who has a BGS relationship, it was that cheap. If you submit direct to BGS, it's still $250.
Was it Nash that it was $160?
Yeah. Now that we're talking this out loud, it was through a group sub.
Yeah, I know that it was. I'm just trying to remember who it was.
I don't remember now. That's besides the point. I was more mocking my boys.
Your peoples?
Love BGS. Give me no reason to love them right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. PSA, SGC.
So many cards I want in a BGS slab, and I can't do it.
And Nash only does PSA and SGC. Who the hell were we looking at? Fuck, this is going to bother me. But anyway, we'll figure it out. So at the end of the day, lesson to be learned here is, Ryan's a stand-up dude. And have no doubts if you're submitting to him through group. He made this whole situation right. From what we've seen, Mark's cards is pretty much banned, I think, from PSA at this point. They posted something on social media today that says they will be suspending their business for the quote unquote time being, but I have a feeling that once this gets around, that'll be more than suspending it temporarily, because how are you going to trust somebody that put people in this situation?
Depending on the dollar amounts of fraud here, isn't he looking at jail time?
It all depends. I think certain situations, like with Ryan, for example, they signed like a promissory note, and he has to pay that $120K back over the course of 2022, and if he doesn't, then there's legal action, but I don't know if it's going to be fraud or civil and fines and bankruptcy or, any of that stuff. I'm not 100% sure.
Fair enough.
Moving on, the last item on our hobby news for the week, PSA made an announcement that they are opening up the $50 level again. They are adopting, I guess you could say, the HGA or Top Shot queue, where you have to, they make an announcement an hour before it goes live. You have to get into a queue room, and then it's going to be a random selection as far as who gets the spots. I believe you're allocated up to 5 spots at the $50 level. I have not seen anything that says whether or not how quickly the cards come back, but I mean, our personal experience right now, we're in a $100 level submission. How many days in are we right now?
So it was actually received on the 18th. So I guess that was Monday.
Yeah.
What's today?
Today's Thursday.
So when I say received, I think it was when it was entered into their system. So whether they received it the day or two before, or whatever, they entered it in on the 18th, and of the 8-step process, it's already on step 5.
Yeah. So it seems like they're moving new stuff along. We'll see what happens once it's at a level. I mean, I would say $50 is somewhat comparable to the $30 that you're paying at SGC and HGA. So we'll see what how fast that stuff turns around and how many people are getting rejected from the queue, and whether or not you can, actually get in with some sort of regularity.
I
Well,
tried to wait out the countdown today to see what the interface was and if they made it simple, like how easy HGA's was, but I couldn't wait up the time.
thanks for that drop
Yeah,
in,
so
sir. Uh,
dynamite drop in
yeah,
there. But
dynamite drop in, Monty. Thank you for that informative tidbit of high class reporting there. Um, so we talked about this topic of conversation multiple times on this podcast, but now that it's real, it does a $50 price point push SGC and HGA further down the hole here as far as like value, volume of submissions going to those companies, etc.
yeah, because dropping down now to $50, so many more cards. If you're doing the comps and the research, so many more cards fall into making sense to send a PSA in terms of your profitability if you get a good grade on it.
Yeah,
So
I
so
mean it.
why I'd pay the extra in most cases. I would have to believe paying the extra $20 to PSA is going to make the turnaround is going to be substantially greater with the same grade at SGC or HGA. We already know that. We've proven that time and time again. You're probably going to tell me again today how awesome PSA is in Slab Wars.
As a matter of fact, we have Slab Wars coming up right after this.
Yeah, I knew that guy. The only
It's
thing on the show sheet I saw.
it's like you almost knew what we were talking about in advance. Um, yeah, I mean, for the $20, the value is not even close. So it's just like, unless you like the tuxedo or the colored, the custom graphic slabs, I have to imagine there's no reason. I mean, granted, there are a ton of people out there who are still very bitter that PSA either, excuse me, still has their cards or they were charging $150 and they're just mad. So it's just like, okay, if you want to be mad and you want to send it to SGC and have something come back that's 60% of the value for saving $20, cool. That's, completely up to you. Or if it's like a $5 base card that you want slabbed, fine, send it off there. But otherwise, I can't see any reason to send to anything other than PSA. And it
Well,
just,
and again, if you like money, you're going to send it to PSA now at $50.
yeah,
Period.
I
If
mean,
that's your goal of grading, is you're trying to make money. There's no reason when it gets down this low to send anywhere else.
yeah, but even if you're not trying to make money, it's for PC. Why the fuck would you send it to SGC versus PSA for $20? It's not like the SGC slab looks that much better. I mean, they're both basic.
I mean, if you're going to hold it for 30, 40 years, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, well, if God forbid, you get hit by a bus 10 years from now instead of 30, and your heirs are gonna sell it, when you want to set them up with something that has some more money, it's like if Junior wasn't gonna keep the collection going and they're gonna sell it for money, I would want to make sure that they could get the most that they possibly could.
Well, in 10 years, that HGA 9.5 could prove to be all in better condition than most PSA 10.
Oh God, again with this
There
fucking
could be a
bullshit.
lot of people thinking that right now.
Guy,
Speculating.
I can't fucking wait until HGA is out of business in less than fucking a year or two from now. They're gone, like gone.
I
See,
don't doubt it with how it's going. I'm not saying they're going to make it, but
I mean,
doesn't mean that the card wasn't graded well.
yes, but if 10 years from now HGA has been gone for 9.5, then selling an HGA slabbed card is gonna be basically you're
Well,
selling it raw.
sir, we got multiple HGA 9.5 to PSA right now, so we're going to find out real soon
Yes.
when they all come back tens.
What he is talking about is also a later segment. You're fantastically teeing
Man,
us up. We'll
jumping
start.
all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, we'll start talking about what we're buying and grading and how we're approaching things right now. But we'll get there in a minute. You have anything else you want to talk about while on this topic before we move on to the next topic?
Well, the $50 service level at PSA. Is that
Yes,
the topic we're on?
that topic.
It doesn't excite me. I'll be honest with you. It excites me from the standpoint of now I can make more money, and I can now include more cards that I normally wouldn't have sent because I didn't want to pay a buck 50 to get it graded.
Yeah, I mean
But
a
but from
300.
a personal standpoint, I'm still holding out for BGS. Like PSA, it does nothing for me in terms of hey, $50. I'm sending everything I have today. Just doesn't do it for me.
Well, that's awesome. But I mean, now we can look at. I mean, you can look at cards that are in the $200 to $300 range that
hundred
normally
percent.
you
That's what I
wouldn't have
meant. The
graded. Yeah,
playbook's even more open now on what you can send. 100%,
I agree. I
and that makes it
agree.
more fun for us because now we can look at more cards and I get to look at and handle things more than I ever would.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's keep it moving. As Bunk alluded to, we have
Yeah.
a Slab Wars NFL Playoff Edition. For those of you that are new to the podcast, every few weeks we take cards and we compare the major grading companies: PSA, BGS, SGC, HGA, CSG, if we can find it, for relevant cards, just to give you an idea on values. Just to keep the information clean, because depending on what source of information or what Facebook group you're in, you get a lot of people that shill for SGC and HGA and say that the values are getting closer, and or people that hate those companies and say they're further apart. Um, I've tried to buy out of some HGA forums, and those people are crazy. They're trying to sell HGA 9.5s for PSA 10 prices, and it's just ridiculous. So we put this.
Agreed, but they're probably going to come back PSA 10s. But you can't put that cost onto
No,
buyer.
I can't sell a raw card that looks really, really clean for PSA 10 prices either. Got to sell it for what it is. I mean,
Some of them are selling for PSA 10 prices these days.
yeah. I mean, everybody always says look at the card and not the grade, which is fine if you're evaluating it to get it regraded. Otherwise, if you're buying it, I'm buying the plastic holder that it's in as far as its value. So, with that being said,
What do we
on the
got?
board, we have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Aaron Rodgers. We took a look at all quarterbacks. Joe Burrow and Allen are really interesting in my opinion, because if they win, their cards are going to be bananas. Um, you know, Guys like Brady and even Rodgers have titles. Mahomes all got rings. So it's expected of them to get to the Super Bowl. Winning playoff games is nothing new for them. Allen and Burrow, not the case. So I think that if they win, you have tremendously larger upside. But we took a look for the sake of pure volume of cards and what's out there and what we can get our hands on. For comparison, everything is base cards, but this will hold true for the most part for other cards as well. So we looked at the 2020 Prism Joe Burrow PSA 10, and all these sales are within the last few days. PSA 10 $413, BGS 9.5 $219, SGC 10 $188, and HGA 9.5 $135. $135 compared to 413. And even the SGC 10, 188 compared to 413, that's less than half. It's less than 50%. That also opens it up to opportunity as far as a $50 grading level. You can get a
That's
good
exactly it. What did that guy? What are Raw selling for?
about $100, I think.
So maybe instead of being all in at $130, and then he sold it for $135, he would have ponied up the extra 20 to go to
Yeah.
PSA. Now, granted, the $50 level up was not out because he probably submitted this card 3 months ago to HGA.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily the best example because it may take you 45 days to get a $50 level submission back, and at that point, football season is over. These prices will have come back down. These prices are definitely inflated because of the playoff run and how good the Bengals have been playing. But at the same time, it just goes to show you the perception is still there, the values are still there. There's no tightening up of any of this stuff. It's still. We've talked about this stuff multiple times. On most SGC and HGA compared to PSA 10 type of cards, you're getting anywhere from 40 to 60% of the value. If
And
there's
it was an
some,
S it was an SGC 10?
the SGC 10 was 188, the HGA 95 was 135.
And do we not think the SGC 10 is as good as the PSA 10 in terms of condition?
Well, I mean, you and I have had our beefs with SGC over the last few months.
Well, they
So
dropped and dinged the corner on my Bryce Harper.
exactly. So we've had issues with graded cards with SGC and them coming back in a condition that isn't what we sent it in, or looking at cards that were in slabs and having them, look damaged, even though they've been given a grade of SGC 10.
Speaking of, they never wrote us back,
No.
by the way.
Yeah, SGC is not on our most favorite list. But anyway, so yeah, moving along. Josh Allen, 2018 Prism, PSA 10, 653, BGS 9, 5, 320. So less than 50%. SGC 9.5, it couldn't find a 10. SGC 9.5, 225. It's a bit of a wash as far as the comparison, other than SGC 9.5 to BGS 9.5. And then HGA 9.5, which is 350. So all of these, I mean, surprisingly, HGA stronger than BGS. SGC still the weakest in this group.
And it had to be the subgrades. The subgrades on that HGA 9.5 probably blew the BGS out of the water, and that person has already cracked that HGA open and sent it off to PSA.
Who would ever do that?
Well, I was so anti-cracking cards, sir, until you got me into it.
Come over.
I still feel dirty every time I do it.
Come over to the dark side. All right. And then lastly, we have a 2005 Topps Aaron Rodgers. His stuff has been absolutely
Nuts.
booming. And I'm not sure why. Yeah, they made the playoffs, but, I mean, the only thing I can think of is he's making a ton of waves off the field. And, it's potentially his last run in a Packers uniform, but they haven't played in the playoffs yet. But his stuff over the last month has been skyrocket. PSA 10, 1124, BGS 95, 525, SGC 10, 577. And you had two sales recently, HGA 95s of 649 and 500. Those two closed back-to-back days. So that is such a wide swing for same card that closed on back-to-back days. I mean, what do you got? 30% increase roughly.
Yeah. That person looked at it, said that's a $600 card. I'm gonna spend $50 at PSA, and I'm gonna sell it for $1,200.
Yeah, or even even the $100 level. I mean, you get it for 500, even 649. There's still room to make some good money.
That's why none of this makes any sense to me.
What
PSA
doesn't make
10s? Like, why? I don't. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, if you look at obviously SGC has a pedigree, but PSA 10s are just the industry standard. I mean, I guess it's like, why do you pay more for a brand name? It's like I buy a television and it's, shit brand X versus a Sony, and Sony charges 2 times the amount of money. Are the components much different?
Yeah,
Not
because
really.
they can, right?
Yeah.
No, I understand. So. It all comes back to the half grades. That really just screws everything up.
Well, when we have an opportunity to talk to Nat Turner, we'll ask him why PSA doesn't have a 9.5.
Oh, he's getting asked. I know why they don't have a 9.5. I'll tell you why they don't have a 9.5. And they're making millions of dollars because they don't.
Oh, please. Now I'm curious enough to ask you to elaborate. Please elaborate on
because
this.
if you have a shot, if a card's a 9.4 and it's so subjective and it might come back at 10, you're going to send more cards to the PSA. Are you not?
That, and if I do get the 10, I can sell it for twice what I can sell it for BGS or, SGC or anybody else. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and listen, and we've talked about this before. There's certain cards are 3 pristine subs, and there's there's just one little thing wrong with it. And most people say, all right, well, now I got to send that to one of the 9.5 companies because I'll probably get a 9.5 on it, but I may not get a 10. at PSA, but I might get a 10 at PSA.
Yeah, the card could be perfect. I mean, that's been a situation with the Kaboom cards. The card is perfect, except it's got a fucking print line on it, and you can't give that card a 10. So literally, the other three subcategories or subgrades are 10s, but that print line makes it not a 10,
Yeah.
and you can't
And,
send it to
and,
PSA because you get a 9 or
and they'll
less.
never go to half grades because it would screw everything up.
Oh
They
yeah,
ever they cannot add a 9.5 now. It's too late
yeah.
because it would just make every card that's a 10, like you'd have to change the entire label, and you'd have to say, okay, this is a, you know 10 post edition of 9.5, and then you have your old label, which is, well, we it could be less, but we're not sure. Like
Yeah.
you can't do it. They would never do it because you got your nines that are a little plus, and you got your 9.5s that are plus plus, and you gave it to 10. I mean, you just can't do it. They
Can
can never do it now.
can you not do it?
Can't touch your nose.
Dude, I told you I'm not touching my nose. I have to fix my glasses that are falling down my face.
Got
Dick.
it.
See here,
See, that was 1 and 1. That was
right
one and
here,
one.
touching the glasses to push them up so I can fucking see your mug. All
All
right,
right,
here,
Slater.
here we go. Uh,
Check you later.
all right, which one do you want to do first? You want to talk about Griffey first,
Or
or talking about our recent purchases?
I'll do Griffey first.
All
Little
right.
mini investment section.
All right. So, yeah. So this week's investments, Bunk did a little research and put some stuff together on the kid, Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, because we were talking about how high that 89 upper deck, the pops are on it, right? Like, tens of thousands. So it got me thinking. We're always looking for the more scarce card and such. I was like, well, let me look at the two Griffey rookie cards that have the hardest to gem and the lowest pop 10 that might be still at a decent price. So I pulled out at a 5% gem rate the 1989 Donruss, everyone's favorite 1989 product, of course. PSA 10, there's 1868, which is relatively low considering the era. Um, $425 a couple weeks ago. Your PSA 9s are, I think those are 10K plus in pop, $40. So you got a 5% gem rate on the 89 Donruss PSA 10. I think 400 for a 600 plus home run Hall of Famer is a fantastic number, and it's a tough grade. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's going to be one of the hardest to find in a. And then the other one at a 9% gem rate is the 89 Bowman. That has just over 2,000 PSA 10 pop, and that came in a little lower at $310, a little bit more affordable.
So
And that was 9% gem rate.
why are they so cheap? I mean, you consistently make the point that baseball sells, which I mean, obviously I don't really disagree with, but $300 and $400 for you put Griffey in a top 10 of all time, maybe top 15 of all time category.
Yeah, I mean he's up there. I mean I don't know how high he's up there, but pretty well regarded.
And
Yeah, I
I
think for
mean,
for a pop of less than 2,000, from a card that's from the 89, compared to his other cards that have tremendous amount of gems, I think it's a fantastic deal. Why is it so low? I don't know. They're not the most eye appealing cards, but
well, not much from the late 80s in that era was.
yeah,
Um,
I think just being it's labeled in the whole junk wax, and I think that still just hangs over in people's minds. But Christ, I almost want to sell a couple cards and pick a couple of these up.
all right, we're gonna look some of these up just to see some of the charts. So we're looking at the 1989 Bowman PSA
Yeah,
10.
so the lowest gem rate was the 89 Donruss, number 33.
Okay, and then the other one was the Bowman, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so it looks like, I mean, this thing's, and you said that one, yeah. So it looks like this one's pretty much built the floor in the really high twos, like 280, 290. Right around 300. It got as high as over a grand back in February when everything boomed and has now settled into a 4. So yeah, I would say that it is a really good time to look at this. I mean, it's attempted to pump below that like 280 mark 8, 10 times, and it keeps trailing back to that 300, and people keep scooping them up. So I would say you should be fairly safe if you're getting this at around $300.
I
Um,
just don't see it at that pop level ever going down. I think it's gonna 100% hold its value.
and if the gem rates are that low, it's not like you're gonna find these in your closet, shoebox, whatever, and send them in and get tens.
Right, and that's part of the appeal is that number isn't gonna skyrocket in the 10 department.
Yeah,
'Cause the
and
majority that are getting sent, 95 out of every 100, coming back 9 or less.
yeah, and the Donruss, you are
The
looking.
Bowman now.
No, we just looked at the Bowman.
Uh,
Now we're looking at the Donruss. Uh, yeah, same. I mean, it peaked out at like 1100 back in February, and has tried multiple times to drop below like 350, and really hasn't. So if you can get this thing around 350, it should be fairly safe. And the
yeah, I like it.
pop on this is
I like
1869.
I used to like the old, A, they have the MLB logos, and the old rated rookies were some of my favorite cards
Yeah,
back
this
in the
thing's
day.
got the purple rated, the purple outline rated rookie on it.
Yep.
And damn, Griffey looks like a baby in this picture. The kid is right. Alrighty. So moving right along, we will talk about. I guess we're going to call this segment "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is." We've been providing investment ideas and other things along the way, and we'll start talking about some of the purchases and things that we make and what we're doing. So we're going to start to catalog this, and once the site launches in the next, I would say, probably week, we're going to be making videos about the stuff that we buy and what happens, and then also putting like a running log on the site. So we have a couple things that have come in the mail. And I guess this would be a good time to also announce that one of the things that we're going to be doing on the new site is called the Sports Card Advantage 10K Challenge. We are going to take $1,000 and seeing if we can turn it into 10,000 by the end of the year. So there'll be stuff that we will, everything will be documented. We'll show you everything that we buy. We'll show you, when it gets graded, when it comes back, you'll be able to see, where we purchase from. Everything, I think, will be bought and sold on eBay just for the documentation sake of it. And we haven't come up with it yet, but we'll come up with some sort of prize, related to this, for following along and paying attention and watching the videos, and helping boost this up for us. Maybe we'll give out a couple of the cards that we sell towards the end, but the goal here is to basically show you that we know what we're talking about, and we can take $1,000 and turn it into 10. So with all that, this week's purchases, two of these are actually going to be for the 10K challenge. One is not. We still do this for fun and for extra cash. So we'll talk about everything that we buy and sell, but two of these will fall under that to the 10K challenge. So first, we have a 2018 Topps Chrome Ronald Acuna Purple Refractor Raw. For those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, I literally have our eBay screen up, so you can see exactly what we bought it for. We paid $462. We're all in for $495, and the plan here is to evaluate this card to be graded, and that's part of the other thing that we're trying to show is that you can buy things raw on eBay, get them graded, and get tens. We've done it before. We've been doing it for the last year and change, and it is possible. And then the two items that we have for the 10K challenge is going to be 2001 Upper Deck Tiger Woods promo rookie CSG 95. This is a CSG card. We're all in on this card for 313.17, and a 2020 Panini Diamond Kings Downtown Acuna. We're all in on this card for 248. So we take the 313 and the 248. We tack on grading fees and shipping. Will come out less than $1,000, but it'll be pretty close. So we're gonna analyze all this stuff and evaluate it. If we feel that it can be sent to PSA, we will send it. Otherwise, we will resell it and put all that stuff towards the total. So we'll document and track it all, and everything will be visible on the site.
We're gonna look at these Acuñas tonight, sir, right?
Yes, we are. We're gonna record the first the first 10K challenge video, and then the video for the other Acuna, and then we'll get all this
still
stuff
sealed in their packages, and it's been killing me
Yes,
not to look at them.
absolutely. And then we'll get all this stuff analyzed, and then on YouTube we'll start to document everything, and we're really going to try to start to make more content this year and publicize some of the stuff that we're doing. Mainly because it's fun and interesting for us, and also I think there's a lot of guys that are on YouTube that don't show you what's behind the curtain. They don't tell you what prices they bought cards for. They don't tell you what prices they sold cards for, and I think that's a little sneaky as far as that goes. You're trying to people that are trying to learn and find out what actually is going on for some of this, and not showing people what you're buying and selling things for. I think it takes a little bit away from the content. Anything else?
Lights.
Anything else about our purchases?
No, I'm excited to check them out. Got the loops ready, microscope ready.
Yes, and that's another point for anybody that's buying cards. We have a couple things that we purchased on Amazon that we use to analyze the cards. One is just a traditional jeweler's loop, and then the other is basically a digital microscope. I would say it's like a handheld wand that you can hold up against the card. It gives you a ridiculous magnification. I think we got it on Amazon for $90. And it helps you to look at edges and corners and surface to see if things are grade worthy. Because otherwise, there's no point in taking a $300 card, and that may resell a PSA 10 for $1,500. But if it's no shot because there's this huge scratch that you can't see with the naked eye, or there's a corner that's dinged or whatever else, then you resell it, you eat your 12% for eBay, and you move on, versus paying for the grading fees and taking a loss, an even bigger loss on the card.
I'm going to debut that centering tool for you today, sir.
Sweet. I can't wait. All right. Go ahead.
No, I was saying because we've been arguing over looking at cards and not agreeing with the centering grade that it was given. But then when I hold that thing up to it, it matches the grade.
Yeah. And I'm
the naked eye, we've been wrong. So.
Yeah. I'm looking at this Acuna, and I'm not thrilled with the centering on it right now. So we could be 0 for 1, and that's all on you, considering you sent me that card to begin with.
I did?
Yeah.
That's one of the first things we talk about all the time is the centering. I honestly don't remember.
The downtown? Yeah, I'm not sure
about... the downtown. Yeah, I don't remember the downtown center.
I'm not sure about the downtown centering left to right, whether or not it's the thing is supposed to be in the middle or not. Or whether or not some of these cards are naturally off center.
The art in the background. Right?
Exactly. Okay, we got one more thing we want to talk about real quick, and then we're going to wrap up for this week. Another popular topic that's been going around in the hobby is taxes. eBay has basically said that if you sell more than $600 on the platform, that they're going to send you a 1099, and then you have to claim things on your taxes, and everybody's freaking out and trying to find ways around it, and this and that and all the other things. So here, my dad is a financial planner, tax preparer. I had a conversation with him, and if there's enough demand, I will literally have him on as a guest of the show. So, if I don't answer your questions, and people, there's enough demand. If you send us messages on Instagram or email or whatever, I will have him come on. You can submit us your questions. I will get him to answer those on the podcast as a guest. But here is the bottom line. And everybody, there's a lot of misinformation getting put on out there, and there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. And once again, this is not financial advice. This is not tax advice. Seek out your own tax preparer to confirm everything and get this all done. But so for those of you that are buying and selling, and it is truly a hobby, that is not something that you have to worry about paying taxes on. The government does allow for you to have a hobby, and the government does not want to tax you if you bought $1,500 worth of cards and sold $2,000 worth of cards. The government does not want to tax you on that $500. So if you actually look at the tax code and the tax laws, it is considered a hobby, and you are not responsible to pay taxes on those. You are responsible to pay taxes when it's something that you're doing for a business or for business purposes. There are clarifications and considerations, also stuff to talk about with your tax preparer. But if you're buying and flipping cards on the regular, getting cards graded and selling, and you've bought $15,000 worth of cards and sold $50,000 worth of cards on eBay or other places, that becomes a lot more of a gray area for you to try to evade taxes on. So keep that in mind. And just because you do it off of eBay and you do it in cash, or you do it someplace where you don't think the government can find you, if for whatever reason at any point you get audited, it is still tax evasion. So please understand that just because you think that you've gotten away with something, or you've done it in a way that can't be tracked or whatever, and you're doing this as a business, the government still wants their money, and if you do not pay them, it is tax evasion. But going back to the whole thing, there are plenty of other things out there where people buy and sell and do things as a hobby and aren't using it as a business. And the grandma that makes a few sweaters and sells them on Etsy, you're not paying taxes on that income because it's not a business, it's a hobby. If she buys supplies and whatever else, and the net difference and everything is a few $100s at the end of the year, that's not the stuff that the government is worried about, and that's not the stuff that you need to be worried about. Like Bunk, for example. If Bunk was not involved with me, he buys and sells. And at the end of the year, he's not doing this to make any money. He's doing this because it's something that he loves. So he wouldn't have to pay taxes on that. So
now, but with that being said, once I crossed the second on January 2nd that I crossed that 600 threshold on eBay,
doesn't matter.
eBay emailed me, and now I have the 1099 is going to be sent.
Doesn't matter.
But when it comes time for preparing, because again,
eBay did that to cover their ass.
Correct. Okay.
But so let's take everything that you and I have done together. Let's rewind the clock 2 years to before you and I got involved in anything sports card related.
Right.
Your behaviors on eBay would be covered and considered under the hobby rules and tax regulations versus a business. What you and I are doing now, we make enough money that the government considers it a business, and it's a part of our income. But 2 years ago, when you're buying and selling $8 cards and buying stuff to complete sets and selling maybe a $50 card or $100 card here and there, and then turning that into base cards to fill out sets or do other things, that's not a business. That's not income. So there's a lot of things that need to be distinguished, and these are things that you need to talk about with your tax preparer in order for you to make sure that whatever you are doing in this space is either a hobby or a business, and doing the right thing tax wise.
I would say you should come out less worried after what you just said, but it comes off like I should be petrified.
No, I mean, there's not a matter of being petrified. And that's the whole thing. At the end of the year, we will add up what we bought, add up what we sold, add up what we spent on any supplies, shipping, postage, packaging, etc. And then whatever we sold minus what we bought and expenses, that's our profit. We pay taxes on our profit based on tax bracket. It's simple. Simple. Record everything. eBay records everything. Record what you spend related to this. And if you have other things that you're involved in, buying and selling shit at flea markets, it all basically gets lumped together. It's not like the government decided to crack down on sports cards and, get all bent out of shape. Anything else?
No, it's good to know that the hobby people don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, there literally is a publication, I think it's publication 17 from what my father told me, that has specific language around hobbies.
Yeah, no doubt. And your father's good people and has prepared my taxes for the last X number of years, so without issue. So if he says so, it's true.
And Punk's not in jail.
And I'm not in jail yet.
All right. And on that note, we will wrap up. Thank you all for listening once again. Any questions you want answered on the show, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Follow us on social media, SportsCardADVTG. We got a ton of stuff coming up, so we're really looking forward to everything this year. So yeah, episode 43 in the books.